It's said music brings life to the soul. But in the face of chaos, amid calls to preserve life,
and we just also started playing our instruments.
After a day of protesting, calling for justice for Elijah McClain, music was the only peaceful weapon used.
I would love to battle anybody with music.
Before his death, Elijah McClain was a musician himself, known to play his violin for animals in shelters to bring them peace, to bring them harmony. So as chemical agents responded to advances from protesters,
I believe this is something that he would love if he were here, and that he would have joined in.
Philip Randall said this was the only way he could think of fighting for justice.
That could have been me. We need to be able to walk without having to fear. We're here being peaceful, doing what America was supposed to be about, that we can have a disagreement.
Remember,
as cries for accountability were met by warnings to retreat,
move back. This is the lawful order.
A song of peace played even louder.
If you can come to a place where music is keeping you at peace, so you should. We got one job. We got to keep peace. We're all human.
Last year, the Calwood fire burned more than 10,000 acres right here in Boulder County. Now they're collecting all the dead trees and dropping it as mulch on the side of the landscape, hoping to prevent any type of future damage to the region. A year after helicopters dropped buckets of water on the Calwood fire, now they are dropping mulch over the scar left behind.
These large, massive fires that aren't leaving any trees behind. I think it's going to be a while before we see some regeneration here if we do it all.
Boulder County's David Hurt and his team are spending their summer shredding dead trees into mulch. A helicopter transfers the trees to be chipped, then the mulch is dropped back over the landscape.
Because that wood mulch is basically replacing the ground cover that we lost during the fire. Whether that's the grasses or the pine needles, we lost all that in this fire.
Doing so helps prevent landslides and flooding and slow sediment from entering the South St. Vrain and Left Hand Creek, which provide drinking water to the Front Range. Before this work started,
they turned those waters pretty black with the ash.
It will take more than 10 weeks to complete the process for just this 1,800 acres.
For the most part, this fire consumed all the trees.
Meaning seeds won't rejuvenate the area as fully as hoped.
We may see this just look more like a grassland. It's going to be a changed landscape for quite some time.
But by working on the burn scar now,
I think there's so much benefit to getting ahead of these fires and clearing out some of the dense trees that we have all up and down the Front Range.
CM240 traffic.
After years of trying to tame the issue,
we started with some education and then we moved to a lot of enforcement to try to curb the behavior.
Fort Collins police are now taking a firm stance against what many in Fort Collins call the cruisers.
So we're running an operation for about 5 weeks to address aggressive, dangerous, and disruptive driving behavior. We are targeting the more egregious violations.
Hey man, can you turn off your truck for me? Go ahead and step out too so I can talk to you out here.
Most of these so-called cruisers are just teens or young adults who are law-abiding and just wanting to socialize. But a growing number have become disruptive, vandalizing property, racing down College Avenue.
So that's why I'm stopping you right now.
And rolling coal.
We're looking for the behavior that's going to get somebody hurt and put somebody in danger or be very disruptive to people that are out doing things that you would normally do on a Friday, Saturday night, having dinner, walking around, enjoying the evening.
Right in front of our cameras, and more importantly, an officer, this man allegedly drove right up and through a grassy area at a shopping center.
Well, you went up and over the landscaping there and left tire tracks.
And leaving a cloud of black smoke known as rolling coal.
It's actually pretty obnoxious. When you accelerate, you're basically clouding up the intersection with exhaust.
Later, in the middle of Old Town, this motorcycle driver eluded police, fleeing an estimated 100 miles per hour through a heavily trafficked area.
Going southbound on College, high rate of speed.
Officers didn't pursue due to public safety concerns. But most don't get away.
You're going to get a ticket, but it does have a court date that goes with it.
Fort Collins police hope their proactive and lengthy operation will encourage the disruption and danger to come to a screeching halt.
We send almost everything that we eat here.
In the plains of Wiggins, Colorado.
Since the war started, prices almost doubled.
A crop planted in September last year is now in great demand.
This field is hard red winter wheat. It's a precious commodity.
Farmer Stephen Smith has watched the price of his crop rise faster than the wheat itself.
It's the highest it's been in decades.
But the cost to produce it is growing even faster. Russia and Ukraine account for more than 30% of the world's wheat production. Also a problem.
We need fertilizer. One of the major suppliers of fertilizer is Russia. So this is a scary situation to be in, and there will be places that have wheat shortages this year throughout the world.
According to the National Association of Wheat Growers, every time you buy a loaf of bread, only about 17 cents actually goes back to the farmer. And the uncertainty for farmers is just now sprouting.
We are looking at a major increase in cost of production. And so even though we're seeing globally high food prices around the world and in the US, the amount of money actually going back to the wheat grower is staying the same. Therefore, we could be looking at a very difficult financial year next year.
Cost of our inputs has at least doubled as well. So we may end up making less money than we have in previous years, even with record pricing for wheat.
Wheat takes around 10 months to grow. By the time Smith's crop harvests, he can only imagine what wheat will be selling for.
We are in one giant interconnected web economically, worldwide. That's why you're interested in the things that happen overseas, because they impact you in your own pocketbook and the food that you're putting in your mouth. And we're seeing it right now.
In Wiggins, Colorado, I'm Dillon Thomas, covering Colorado First.
I just think it's so beautiful.
It's one of the biggest celebrations Longmont will see all year.
Dia de los Muertos, celebration of life.
Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, a celebration through food, music, art, and more.
I think it's one of the most beautiful parts of our culture.
Laura Masterson, a proud Mexican-American, brought her family to downtown Longmont. With tradition, the Mastersons showed up with their faces painted like skulls.
I just think it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful way to express. I think a lot of people consider it like the Mexican Halloween, and it's so much more than that. You're celebrating your ancestors that have passed, celebrating their life, bringing almost their life back.
As the sun set, deeper tradition illuminated in the darkness. Traditional Aztec dancers performed and prayed for those who have passed.
Instead of being sad about it, we're enjoying it, we're celebrating it.
Messages for the deceased burned and sent to those looking down. For many, this is a part of their culture. For the rest, it was a way to better understand the traditions of their neighbors.
They give everyone the ability to learn something about a different culture and to get really involved with it.
1, 2, 3, and
It's more than just the music. It's more than just something that you play in the moment. It's everything that you've drawn from the history of the music.
Best high school jazz band in the nation.
Everything we did was for a reason, and that reason is going to be to get first place.
It's a title students at the Denver School of the Arts want and might earn.
It's probably like the #1 thing that's happened to me in my life so far.
It's called the Essential Ellington High School Jazz Band Competition. DSA already made it to the top 15.
We outdid ourselves. We know what we're doing, and we're swinging hard as a band.
This is one of the best ensembles I've had here at the school in 25 years.
Nominated for the 4th time, the students want to make Denver proud by bringing home the title.
We are the Art School of Denver, and we gotta represent ourselves.
It really does take a village, and here at DSA, it's a pretty tight village.
And with the community's support,
I'm excited and really, really grateful to have the opportunity to go there again and try to do our best again.
Highway 287, a rolling roadway twisting and bending through the foothills of northern Colorado between Fort Collins and the Wyoming border. A 35-mile stretch, possibly as beautiful as it is dangerous.
We're considering this a hot zone in Larimer County.
Colorado State Patrol Trooper Paul Durkis is one of many from multiple agencies now ramping up patrol along 287.
We are seeing speed being an issue, as well as driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. We're out here to save lives.
For Tricia Potter,
it's been a very awful thing to go through when my daughter was just starting her young adult life.
The dangers of 287 are all too real.
Both my daughter Sienna and one of her good friends died in the accident.
Just a few months ago, Sienna Potter was one of 3 killed along this stretch in a head-on crash when an oncoming driver drifted into their lane.
It's difficult to even put into words how I felt when I found out Sienna had been in the accident and she didn't make it.
The driver who caused the crash also died. An autopsy showed he was impaired.
I miss her hugs. Every holiday we'll miss her. There'll be an empty chair at the table, and our lives will never be the same.
If I could see your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance.
By ramping up patrol, installing illuminated speed signs, snow fences, and more.
If it were to prevent another family having to go through what we went through, that would be worth the time and the money that they spend on increased enforcement.
I was clogging at 84 in a 65 mile an hour zone.
Trooper Durkis says we all can play a role in preventing others from experiencing the same tragedy as the Potters.
We're here to save lives. The more eyes we have on the road, the safer we're all going to be.
Dillon Thomas, covering Colorado First. Yeah, Kathy, those with Wish of a Lifetime and those with Columbine Health here in Fort Collins teamed up to make sure one World War II veteran's 100th birthday would be his best yet.
I celebrated my 25th birthday in Paris. That was the end of the war with Germany.
It's been 75 years since Stanley Sepulveda rang in his birthday on the beaches of Normandy, a place he thought he'd take his last breath.
But I never thought I'd come home. Here I am, 100 years old.
From his 25th on the front lines of World War II to his 100th in Fort Collins, Stanley has spent big birthdays separate from family. Once an ocean away from his loved ones, now just a window apart.
Hey, Grandpa!
Today, COVID-19 is the enemy, but it couldn't stop Stanley from ringing in a century on Earth.
Wow!
Be it through a virtual reality tour of the places he fought in war, or a parade outside his care facility window.
It was a wonderful birthday party.
He's a very social person, so to see everybody, he was definitely overwhelmed.
I thank all my friends and neighbors for celebrating my birthday with me, wishing me a happy birthday, throwing me hugs and kisses. It was my favorite part of the day.
In 75 years, the world has changed a lot. Stanley reminds us the worries of today will one day fade, but the joy of being with those you love, even from a distance, is forever.
My 100th birthday, that was amazing.
Happy birthday to you. Stanley, on behalf of everyone at Channel 4, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
It's an art that's been tracked back centuries.
The cowboy hat is the most iconic part of the Western way of life.
Branded into the life of Western cowboys to this day.
It's an extension of their personality.
A Western staple, arguably made best by none other than Greeley's own.
My name's Trent Johnson. I'm with Greeley Hat Works, and we are the official hat makers for Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo.
Behind the storefront lobby,
every hat is handmade and custom fit to each individual's head.
The official hat of the world's largest outdoor rodeo is crafted by the hands of Coloradans.
We make hats out of pure beaver that makes them thinner, lighter weight, more weather resistant, more durable.
Using machines like this finger blocker from the 1950s.
It's gonna push the crown down into the hat and pull the brim out.
A team of employees tirelessly work to form and sand down each hat.
We have about 6 to 8 hours in each hat.
After a week of heating and cooling, these custom hats are sent to the press. A custom Cheyenne Frontier Days logo is stamped in the leather sweatband, and then an employee presses the future owner's name as well. The sweatband is then sewn into the hat using a machine from the 1920s. It's as authentic as it comes.
So one of the last steps in making a custom hat is putting in the custom satin liner. This one for the daddy of them all.